Welcome to ABC&Me. This is the second session of this series, and today I will discuss talking, one of the 5 areas of early literacy, and why it is important for your child's development. Oral language is the foundation of early literacy. It is a development of knowledge and skills that allow children to understand, speak, and use words to communicate. The main way to support this development is to actively engage in conversation with your child. We will discuss listening, speaking, and communication skills today, as well as strategies to help your child develop these skills. Before we dive into the different areas of communication skills, we need to talk about business talk and rich talk. Business talk is essentially the instructions you need to get through the day with your child, like asking them to get ready for dinner, telling them that it's time for bed, or any other basic command or instruction. While business talk is certainly necessary, it does not support early literacy in the same way that rich talk does. Rich talk includes conversation, commentary, and silliness. Some examples of this would be to ask your child, "What does a pig say?" and then saying "oink oink" along with your child. Or asking your child, "What did you like about that story?" Asking open-ended questions, being imaginative and silly with them, and really listening to what they say and responding to them are all ways to incorporate rich talk into your communication with your child. So how does rich talk help your child get ready to read? Having more extensive and involved conversations with your child exposes them to more diverse words and vocabulary, and gives your child encouragement to question, explore, and put ideas into words. It also encourages longer conversations and back-and-forth interactions. Being silly and imaginative with your child will help engage them in conversation. The first area of skills we will focus on today is listening. Babies can hear and process sounds of languages that are spoken to them. In fact, by the time a child is 6 months old, linguists can tell what languages a child has heard at home by the sounds they are using in their babble. However, something important to remember is that listening is different than hearing. Hearing does not have to involve understanding of what is said, while listening involves consciously processing what is communicated. Teaching your child to actively listen is extremely important for many reasons, especially preparing them to be successful in school. Some ways to encourage your child to listen are to give them spoken instructions and have them follow through with them, or to read a story together and ask them questions about it afterward. The next area of skills is speaking. Speaking involves producing sounds of language, as well as understanding what words mean, and the connection between the word and what it represents. For example, when I say the word cat, I am able to picture a cat in my mind and understand that the word cat and the physical representation of cat are the same thing. When a child first starts learning language, it takes time to understand that words connect to actual objects. This is one of the reasons that pointing out pictures in a book and talking to your child about different objects that you see is so important. This helps create the synaptic connections that we talked about in the previous session of this program, which focused on brain science and writing. These connections will help your child understand what different words mean and be able to use them correctly. Another part of speaking is being able to put words in the correct order and using the correct forms of words, such as verb tenses or plurals. For example, saying, "I like to play with them," instead of "them I like to play with," or saying "I am pretty," instead of "I is pretty." So how do we help kids develop speaking skills? The first thing to remember is practice makes perfect. This is another reason to encourage your child to talk and to ask them open-ended questions. One way to do this is to have your child draw a picture, something that also helps get them ready to write, and then ask them to tell you about what they drew. One more thing to remember is to give your child time to answer a question after you ask it. A good rule of thumb is to give your child 10 seconds to answer a question before helping them or answering it for them. Patience is key. The last thing we will talk about today is communication skills. This area combines everything we have talked about so far, since effective communication involves both speaking and listening well. Communication skills include asking questions to get information, understanding body language, and following social rules of conversation, such as turn taking, good manners, listening to what others say before responding, and talking about appropriate topics. Kids learn these skills from watching and listening to you. You are the one they listen to most and spend the most time with, so you will be their first and most important example. Modeling these skills will help your kids put them into practice. Even if you set an excellent example, it will take your child time to learn how to communicate appropriately. When they engage in negative behaviors, such as interrupting or not saying please and thank you, make sure you correct them in a positive way and give them positive reinforcement when they engage in positive behaviors. The main takeaway from this session is to actively engage in conversation with your child. Talk about road signs or other things you see on the road when driving with your child in the car, and ask them questions about their day or what they're playing with, and make sure you actively listen to their answers. This will not only help your child develop their talking skills, but will also help create sweet memories between you and your child. Thanks for listening. Please check out the other programs in this series for more information on early literacy and how to get your child ready to read.